Hi, everybody. Welcome to week 1 of Healthy Aging Workshops. I'm ecstatic to be doing this month. I think about April as a month. April showers bring May flowers. I just think about that from my childhood. And I think about the changes that we can make to go out in the spring, plant the seed so you can live a healthy life. Healthy aging is something I hear a lot of people, oh, you must be working with people that are like 80. No, the second you realize that you're aging is the second you can kind of take that back. We all have a biological clock of age, and between now and then, what can you do in your life to extend that? I want to climb mountains till I'm 100. You hear about these people that live to the 100. What are they doing? And that's what this is all about. What are the changes we can make so you can live a life you want? If you're climbing mountains, if you want to go on bike rides, if you just want to be able to sit on the floor and pick up your grandchildren, whatever your goal is, that's what healthy aging is. And you want to strive for that because it's a gift. Movement's a gift. Our body's a gift. So let's start treating our bodies like that as soon as possible. And that's what, to me, healthy aging is all about. And I definitely consider you thinking about that. What would you want your life to look like when you're 80? Do you want to be one of those people that's out and about, taking walks and things like that? Think about that as these series progress. What do you want your life to be like as you age, mental and physically, everything? So I hope everybody has their packets here. I spent way too long on these. I love worksheets and packets.
They're beautiful.
One, the gut. So Poopa and I are totally honored to have Grace here today to talk about the gut. The gut is everything. And for those that don't know me, I'm Cameron Davenport. I'm your healthy aging coach, and I'm here because I have a passion for health. And I know with me for the last 10 years, I felt like, as I was turning into my 30s, I would look at myself in the mirror and be like, who dat? Like your body just changes. You look at it like things droop to the side, things are going this way, you don't remember as much. Like you stub that toe and it's going to hang on to you for a while. You just don't heal as fast. And I started my health journey by trying to figure out what is healthy. And ironically, that's a term that's kind of hard to define because there's so much information out there with all different types of diets. So let's work together to define what is healthy in the most simple way. So that's what I'm here to help you with, because gut health has changed a lot of things for me. Focusing on my gut, I don't feel bloated anymore. I used to always just feel bloated. Like I would run home after I would get up from wherever I'd be in jeans and be like, I got to get these off. I feel bloated all the time. You just don't feel as right. And so the gut is everything. We hear about it all the time. And what does it really mean? So that's what I love about having Dr. Grace on here, because she's the expert. She's a pharmacist and the expert on gut health. I couldn't think of a better person to have on it. When I wrote a list of people I wanted and she said yes, I was ecstatic because she knows her stuff and she's one boss babe of a chick. So let's start. Dr. Grace, tell us a little bit about your background. What brought you to gut health?
Well, thank you so much for having me on, Cameron. I love your story. I had my own kind of health moment when I got super ill, and it was actually a lot of pharmaceuticals that did it for me, and I just couldn't believe it. All my whole life, I actually had a lot of obesity issues, fatigue, and autoimmune Hashimoto's issues, but I had gotten healthy, with healthy eating and some exercise. I got into working out, but then I had an IUD put in, this birth control, and it just like literally almost killed me. I was bedbound, was so tired. None of the doctors could figure out anything. For sure, my OBGYN was like, oh no, that IUD had no problems with it. I'm like, oh my God, did you read the black print, fine print, whatever. And I kind of exited the pharmaceutical field. I just couldn't believe in it anymore. And started to look at my journey to get my health better. And when I was ill, I had wrinkles, I had like a lot of white hair,
Black circles.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm darker skinned, so I didn't have that, but that's what we see frequently, like shiners, like allergic shiners. And that completely, our skin is a reflection of our gut health. I found out, there are obviously gifted people who like supermodels, they can eat anything. But they have horrible gut health and a lot of addictions and whatever, a lot of mental and physical issues. But I was not one of them. So like it showed on my, skin. And then after I got my gut better, oh my gosh, like people can't believe I'm going to turn 50, and
wow.
Like, yeah. And my aunt, who's really healthy, she swims every day. She lives in Taiwan and she's over 80. She's, a lot of the Asian with people that are healthy, not on dialysis, not unhealthy, who are not on multiple chronic diseases and meds, the ones that are healthy, their collagen is like really tight. They don't have a facelift, but what happens is I think their skin is reflecting their gut mucosal lining. They're literally their gut, which is considered outside. We have these little openings, sphincters at our butt and our mouth, but our gut is actually outside. And so our body does a lot to protect it, to keep it really healthy, because it's actually outside. If I get a cut, if I don't have a great immune system, it'll get infected. And most worst thing is I would have it amputated. But if we have a great immune system, and studies show if we have really good bacteria on our skin, it heals super fast. And with certain supplements, I used to have lots of wounds and poor healing, but I take a couple supplements and do all my probiotics, and like a lot of my wounds heal without any trace now. Or I'll take a couple antioxidants and it heals a lot faster. So I've been our clients do really well. Everything is based on studies. We know that all this gut damage can happen like after one round of clinicians will use animal models. They give them antibiotics to make them into unhealthy guts, to study all kinds of diseases, cancers, chronic diseases, diabetes, obesity, autoimmune disease. Literally, they give them antibiotics or a dietary emulsifier. It breaks their gut, and then they induce the disorder just by doing that. And this is happening to us on a mass scale. Yeah, we are eating garbage, we don't rest enough, and we're not taking enough probiotics to protect our gut flora and to replenish them, or not enough fermented foods.
Stress.
And so, and then we age faster. So we can reverse a lot of it, I feel. And it's fun to do it.
I feel like the fountain of youth is really in our gut. Like that's really where you find it. People have been looking at it for a long time. It was right here. And how you do that right there. Yes. So tell us a little bit about the Gut Institute and why you founded it and what it's all about.
So in 2011, I looked at all the probiotics on the market, and I tried all of them with my clients, and none of them were working. We have great testing. You can poop and, get a little swab and we can see what's in there. Yeah. And it's like a wealth portfolio. Like how many of you have your 401k, right? Or your other stocks or bonds, right? You look at your wealth, you want to see it growing for you. So basically, right?
Poop wealth.
Basic math. Yeah. If you have a 7% return and every 7 years, your wealth doubles, right? So it's compounded. So that's like our gut portfolio too. We have a lot of great anti-aging bacteria in our gut. And if we don't feed them, if they're not even there, well, if it's bankrupt, what are you going to do, right? So I created my own probiotic because what was on the market just didn't work at all. And from the beginning, we just saw it was just gut busting results. Like people who can actually up the dose to even 5 scoops a day, they would get tremendous benefit, like just complete resolution of skin disorders, even calmness, anxiety, depression would go away. But we do a lot of other protocols. Oh my gosh, yeah. I have women, they have hemochromatosis, and, they got to do bloodletting every once in a while. They get a phlebotomy and leak out their blood because it's this iron in their blood. Couldn't run. They were given instructions by the doctor, don't run. Can you imagine that? Don't run. Don't work out, because they had heart damage from excess iron, and it would make their heart rate go really fast. And a whole family of people would take our probiotics because it would literally extend the time to their next iron phlebotomy. It was healing their body, basically, lowering inflammation.
So that being said, if you were to get in front, I remember when I was setting this up and I was on the software technology thing and figuring it all out, and I was on the helpline and they were telling me all this stuff, and I was like, can you pretend that I'm in kindergarten and tell me how to do it? And I want to know, pretend we were in kindergarten and you explain gut health. What is gut health in the most simple terms? We hear all these fancy terms, what it means, buzzwords. What is it? What does it mean?
So we have 100 trillion bacteria and other microbes that live on our terrain. So that's like all our surfaces. So and mucosa. So it includes ear, nose, throat, all the way to our toes. So crown to toes, and our GI tract. Our GI tract, when we open up, like when we look at the surface area of where we absorb food, it's as big as a tennis court. It's enormous, more than our skin surface area, basically. And because we have living bacteria there, they do things for us that we don't need to do anymore. So it's kind of like a housekeeper, cleans things up. You just turn around and all the mess is cleaned up. It's also like a butcher. It breaks down all our food. So we don't have to go and chop a whole animal up. I know your dad is really into hunting. I think that's awesome. If I come from pig farmers, and they would have to process the whole animal. You need really sharp knives, and you need a lot of elbow grease, right? But we have our bacteria there. They do it all for us. They also secrete. It's like what I love coming from a pharmacist point of view. Like these bacteria secrete anti-aging chemicals, even anti-cancer chemicals, anti-anything chemicals. Basically, they're pro-health, pro-healthy aging, pro-longevity chemicals, and we can harness that. Studies show we can easily harness that. We just have to feed the flora, make sure they don't get overwhelmed with gangs and other
I like that.
criminals.
Gangs.
Yeah,
We want
yeah,
housekeepers and butchers, not gangs and villains in our body.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, you're always gonna have a little bit. We wouldn't be balanced otherwise, but a little bit's fine, right? You just joke and laugh at them. They don't take over. We don't have to have like Sopranos take over.
I like this. I have the good imagery. So what happens with gut health? Why is it so sensitive right now? If we were built, we were born with all these, the microbiome, all these bacteria all over us. What is happening now? Why are we seeing all of a sudden terms of like we have bad gut health? What does that mean?
Yeah. So it didn't happen all of a sudden. 100 years ago, our animal livestock started getting antibiotics. Farmers learned like they could make a ton more money making their animals fat. And it just took one course of antibiotics. So all our feed started to get, so cows, pigs, everything, chickens, poultry started to get antibiotics in their feed. And it did not necessarily keep them alive longer. But what happened was like they started to get fat really quickly. And this is what studies show. One round of antibiotics is highly associated with morbid obesity in kids who had 1, 2, or 3 rounds. Like it started to show up in just even a year after like the induction of antibiotics. Also, it's not just one assault, Cameron, it's multiple assaults. So one thing is not a big deal. A few antibiotics is usually not a big deal for healthy people. Even in studies, they show like the pattern goes back to normal for a lot of people, but more and more that's changing. And now a lot of people don't back to the pattern that they used to have after a round of antibiotics. So what else is happening is we're in this hyper sanitation stage, hyperhygiene stage. Everything needs to be wiped down with Clorox. Well, unfortunately, Clorox, selectively selects only really pathogenic organisms to survive where it's been. Essential oils is a little better. Even soap is a little bit better. So we're super sanitizing everything, washing natural good probiotics off our hands, off our clothes, off everything, off our homes. And instead, the most tenacious pathogens that can survive strong chemicals are surviving. And we're not getting outdoors. That's a big one. When we go out, like if it's a healthy, clean forest, but unfortunately everything's sprayed with herbicide pesticides when you're looking at municipal greens and parks, sadly. But you have to get really outside and breathe in nature. Well, you're breathing in really good bacteria and good wild yeast.
So there's bacteria in the air too, happy
yeah.
bacteria in the air.
Exactly. And many of these studies also show that there is, guess what, antidepressant chemicals in the air secreted by our trees.
Oh, wow. I like that fact.
Yeah.
So just getting out that, I know that's incredible. I know we're going to be talking a little bit more about that in a little bit. So that's exciting to me. Just, see why everybody says take a walk. It's you're breathing in good, happy air in there. That's a fact I didn't know today, that trees let off antidepressant chemicals that you breathe in.
Totally. And we don't eat our ancestral dishes. So before refrigeration, which only came like the last 100 years to a lot of villages and cities, right? People literally made their own bread, right? They would ferment it overnight with yeast. They made a lot of pickling things, and also even making sausages by hand. And that's a fermented food, actually a naturally fermented food. It's preserved by bacteria and wild yeast. We don't do that anymore. We're not getting that source of these, natural ancestral dishes that would be literally making up all of our diet, plus fresh fruits and vegetables. Our diets have radically changed. We have a lot of processed foods, and processed foods are shown to feed bacteria pathogens.
The bad guys, the Sopranos.
Yeah.
The Soprano diet. That's crazy. I can't wait to research that a little bit later. So another thing I've been wanting you to explain too, this is a hot topic right now, is your immune system. And a fact you hear 80 to 90% of your immune system is in your gut. What does that even mean? How can your immune system be in your gut?
So it's so amazing. Humans, if you believe in evolution, we've been around for millennia, and mammals have been around for millennia. And when they started having conception internal in the body, rather than laying eggs. Okay. We're not like chickens. We're not like lizards. We don't lay eggs, generally speaking.
I lay eggs.
Yeah. 99% rotten eggs. No. We had internal conception. Well, once it went internal and we had a fetus internal, our body and our immune system had to learn not to kill off the fetus, to think it was a foreign parasite and try to kill it off, right? Our bodies were really good at like not having foreign bodies in our host body. So it learned how to differentiate. And it's one of the most sophisticated immune systems on earth. The mammalian immune system is so amazing, but it can go kind of crazy, kind of like a firewall. Like, if you have your firewall on hyper control, like you can't go onto any website because every website is suspect, right? I don't know if you've had that. I've had that because I use a couple
You
VPN
raise teenagers
websites
and stuff.
Yeah, and we have controls on there, so you might understand that, right? So it's super like hyper vigilant. The problem is now that we eat terrible food, a lot of junky stuff, we get antibiotics, so we wipe out our terrain, and then instead of the sentinels being there saying, hey, this is allowed, that's not allowed, our gut starts to leak, basically, because our sentinels, our good bacteria, basically are the good guys that prevent the sopranos from going crazy. And when they're not around, then sopranos go crazy and they make holes in our gut. And then once we get that permeability, it's called leakiness. It's kind of like open doors, then you get the vagrants all coming in and everything starts to dump into the bloodstream. Food dumps into the bloodstream, whether it's digested or undigested. Bacteria and fungi and candida dump into the bloodstream. And your body goes, oh my God, I don't know how to do with this, right? And it starts to annihilate it all. That's what our immune system's designed to do. It's designed to annihilate the sopranos when they're in the wrong place. But then it goes crazy, and then that's when health starts to fall down. Premature aging, wrinkles, cancer, and chronic diseases. And people don't feel well. They have body fat, brain fog, and fatigue issues. So what we do at our clinic, and in our online classes, we reduce body fat, brain fog, and fatigue in 6 months or less.
I've seen it with working with probiotics. It's amazing by just starting to get rid of the sopranos when you're letting the good guys come back and letting them flourish. When getting that down, it makes a huge difference. It's almost like aging in reverse. It's crazy.
Totally. And we work with a lot of elite people, executives who really have to make good decisions, really smart moms that are running a whole household and working, and 10 other projects, right? And we work with the most elite athletes, MMA fighters, UFC and Bellator, and Spartan champions, and authors, multi-New York Times bestselling authors. And we help them to hack things, because when these sopranos go kind of nuts, we want to regulate a bit and get the good guys back in. I call them the angels.
The angels, like the angels and the sopranos. Okay,
yeah.
We got it. Angels versus sopranos.
Yeah. So I do like some supplement programs for MMA fighters, and they feel awesome. Some like had fatigue all the time, or all kinds of infections and acne and yeast infections. That all goes away. Some of the men, even though they're like super high testosterone, MMA fighters, they may not even have like routine all the time morning wood. I don't know if I can talk about that, but that's a sign that your health isn't great. If you're not fertile and you don't have morning wood, you're not going to really put your progeny and your legacy out there.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And in 1 week or less with our protocols, or even Bifida maximus alone, bam.
I can see it now. Anymore. All the women on the call going to their husbands, honey, I am so concerned about your gut health right now. Why?
Yeah. And for a lot of ladies, like, when I drill them, like they're cranky, they're PMSy, their boobs hurt, their head hurts every month. Like they don't feel great. But when we get aligned to the gut, we see cysts and fibroids all go away. The OBGYN cannot find it even ultrasounded in 8 weeks or less. They're calm. For the first time, they tell me, oh my gosh, Grace, I'm actually happy and calm. I'm like, yeah, that's good for all of your family around you. A lot of them are very OCD, because they got this like little crazy hamster in their body, and they can't calm that down. So they try to control and calm everything around them, like literally like their kids' schedules, everything around them. But once they're calm inside, then everything else doesn't give a fuck. Like it doesn't matter anymore, right? And they're happy. They're not affected by trying to control everything in their environment. And I love hearing that, because it's draining to do that. Like, who wants to do that all day long?
I actually had, whenever I first started probiotics, because I started them way over 5 years ago when there was barely even a great selection of it, which was kind of, but it helped me even just a little bit there. I remember going to my asthma doctor and he's like, you're not fidgeting, you're not just anxious moving around, you're having a conversation, and you don't even realize when you have too much. I like to think about, like your bath mat or those little,
The
uh,
squiggly, like the plush
with the
parts.
little microfiber
That's,
things. They kind of look
yeah,
like this, and
exactly.
that's your gut lining, guys. Think about that little
Yep.
Swiffer, and then when it gets little holes in it,
Yep.
like things happen, whether it's stress or environmental toxins, antibiotics, processed
Yes.
foods, whatever it might be, that's going to damage that lining and cause a hole. And that's when things are going through there. If you've consumed something that has a bad pathogen, a virus, bad bacteria, it's going
We
right into
all
your
will.
bloodstream. And
Yeah.
your bloodstream, I like to think about that like the Jetsons, so whatever gets in your bloodstream is going through all your body and able to go
Yeah.
everywhere. So you've just introduced whatever your body is eating, instead of your body giving that wall up of saying, we're not going to let you in. Okay. You're going to go out. It lets it in, and that's when it can go across your whole body, and it causes everything from fatigue, bloating, low sex drive, joint pain. I mean, if it pretty much anything, and gut health, it's related. So that makes a lot of sense. And when everything's out of whack, you talked about anxiety, your body, your stomach. Actually, I used to think, because I went to college and I studied a lot of neuroscience, and
I
you think
see.
everything's in the brain, all those chemicals, that happy serotonin in the brain. But when your gut's not happy, it's not making it, because your body's out trying to fight sopranos, not making happy juices. You got to
Exactly.
prioritize.
Yes.
So that
Fighting
makes a whole lot of
sopranos, not making
sense.
happy juices.
Not
Exactly.
making the
Exactly.
happy juices, and you got to go
Yes.
smell them outside, go snort some leaves, I guess, or something.
Short
I
some
love
leaves.
that,
I
that
love that. I
leaves,
love that.
trees let off happy juices. So here's another buzzword. What about the term antiviral? What does that mean? I know the gut bacteria can do it, but then you can take essential oils
Yes.
that do it. You can take chemicals. What does antiviral mean?
We live in a world full of all kinds of microbes. I mean, literally carbon mass of viruses and phages. Phages are actually viruses that live inside bigger things, bacteria and our cells, or candida and fungi cells. And literally their mass is more than anything else on earth, more than bacteria even. So they're everywhere, and we can't escape them, because what study shows, when we're growing up, through like touching our community members and family members, we have good viruses, we have good herpes, we have good spirochetes, we have good viruses, good Epstein-Barr viruses actually. And when we get hit with bigger ones that are more virulent, we're protected. We get this immunity because of these good viruses. But because we don't have so much connection, and then maybe because of also a lot of antibiotics, when finally people get hit with a virus, sometimes it can have really dire consequences. Like, you've heard of people who get adult chickenpox. It's not shingles. As we know, it's like that. That's the reinfection after it's been in your nervous system. But they get a whole new onset chickenpox. It's horrible. They're super
After
in
they've had it
pain.
the second time?
Yeah, no, the first time, their very first
Okay.
time, but they have it over age 20, let's say. Most
Okay.
people get it in their teens or as a child. And then they don't have good gut health, and they get a horrible infection, very like they call it post-herpetic neuralgia, but basically they're having tingling pain where the viruses, and a lot of lesions, painful lesions. So we've had a shift, our lifestyles have changed. And then we also have, so many toxins, as you mentioned, and other things. So we have viruses everywhere, but plants and mammals and humans, we all have ways to defend against the most pathogenic viruses. It's our probiotics, literally studies show our good lactobacilli that are found in healthy women in the vagina protects against cancer-causing HPV, they're even anti-HIV and anti-yeast, antifungal, and also antibacterial, so it prevents BV, bacterial vaginosis. But when we don't have the lead keystone, they call it keystone. This is like a leader, the lead angel, in our terrain, let's say the vagina surface, then when it's missing, all these sopranos take over, making, for some people, will cause disease or other things. But we can easily get that lead bacteria angel back in there. So for humans, 99% of our vaginal microbiome, the bacteria there, is one species known as Lactobacillus crispus. Studies show we can get that back in there, all health improves, even cancer resolves. And what I've seen is when we do probiotics for ladies, when they insert it vaginally, and we do other protocols sometimes, everything improves. like HPV goes down, any uterine, cervical, ovarian cancer risk go down, everything really improves. So viruses are all over us. They're on our skin, all over our mouths. We can have good ones, and if they outweigh the bad ones, we keep our health. So what we do is there are, plants defend against all microbes. So when there's a chemical that they secrete, plants always, forests, trees, and other plants and the roots, they secrete different chemicals. Usually these chemicals can be antifungal, antibacterial, and antiviral. So for instance, like on our website, we have a couple lists of antivirals that are really helpful during this time, for people to stay kind of healthy. Well, it turns out a lot of these are also antifungal, not for good. They're not going to kill good fungus, but more the bad, fast-growing ones, right? And they're also antibacterial, but only they're very selective, more the pathogenic bacteria. And they're antiviral, even anti-coronavirus. So we have our humankind, like for millennia, had medicine women and medicine men that knew which plants were safe and what doses to use that weren't toxic or lethal, and how to foster like better health just using these plant botanicals. That art isn't lost. We have many books, and studies, also medical literature. We utilize a lot of these to shift our bodies, get, lower some of the sopranos and get the good guys, good angels back in there. It's not that hard at all.
No, that makes sense. Okay, so you think about it, you've got this whole like battle of good guys and bad guys. And so viruses, there's good viruses, there are bad viruses, there's good bacteria, there's bad bacteria, there's good everything. And so really antiviral is just getting your good guy antivirals up so you can attack the bad guys, basically, is that what I'm hearing from you?
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know if it's exactly a battle or a war. Maybe for some people it is, but there's always going to be like, it's like siblings, right? That kind of go at it, right? Like there's just like territory they're trying to take over. And it's so amazing. Like our body, unless you have certain genetic variants, like I have some, most people who have some multiple chronic diseases has some of these variants. We don't make as much fiber that the good bacteria want to latch onto on our mucosal surfaces. In the olden days, like when we all were foraging and eating a lot of nutrient dense foods and eating basically like 100 grams of fiber every day, it wasn't a big deal. We had dietary sources that would help our good bacteria to anchor and latch on. My diet isn't even up to 30, 50 grams of fiber a day right now. Like I'd be eating all day long if I did that. And I don't have time for that. So I take supplements. Like here's an example, but I have like a lot of supplements, but I'll take 30 grams of fiber, no problem, because I don't eat the way my ancestors did. I wish I did. And I do have the genetic variants. So studies show those with the variants have less of the good stuff and happen to have a ton more of the soprano guys. And that makes sense, but we can shift that. We can emulate what our past was. And then that brings about all kinds of optimization of health, wellness, and longevity is what we see. Markers for, inflammation go down, people's aches and joints go down, pain goes down, chronic pain goes down, resilience to injuries goes up. We see autoimmunity.
It's incredible just making changes like that.
Disappear in 6 months or less.
It's a fantastic, I did that for 5 years before working with people in gut health. And it's amazing the dramatic differences, anything from mouth sores to yeast, like it just is all connected. And that, what you said really leads on to, I think it's page 3 of the worksheet, guys, for my tip. It's eat your fiber, because fiber is like a fertilizer type of deal for your good guys. So you're giving them extra tools. You're fertilizing your gut garden. Fiber is really important. We hear about it to help you poop and relieve constipation. It's great for that. It helps with all different types of things, but really it's the fertilizer for your gut garden. You're giving it food, the good guys food. Good guys love fiber, and they're doing that to help, and you were going to help them replicate on their own and colonize, because you're giving them the tools they need. So definitely read over that part of the worksheet on the fiber, and there's tips, and it talks about what women need and what men need, and kind of what some of my favorite tips things. So fiber, do that. So that leads us to the last part. I want to hear 3 tips from you. So for our gut health, what are 3 things that we can do now, whatever age we just start to think about aging and things like that? What can we do? What are 3 tips from you?
You just latched onto it. So a lot of fiber, whether it's diet or supplements, do that fertilizer for your flora. It's awesome. Second, laugh like, I love always talking with you, Cameron. You're always full of positivity and great jokes. Like, laughing is such like a longevity lifesaver. And it's saved my life a lot. I try to surround myself with best girlfriends, you know, that are full of joy and laughter and abundance. And then lastly, movement. You know, our microbiome, our bacteria, they love it when we jostle them around and get things going. There's a lot of studies behind why that is. But yeah, movement helps our lungs as well, helps our
Really
terrain
important right now.
to ground, yeah, and opens up our lymph. And even my, like, I think astrology or whatever, you know, a lot of blueprints out there. It's crazy. Like, I'm told all the time, like, it's in it, no one else hears that, but in my stars, apparently I need to move. And I have found, like, when I stop doing yoga or I like sit around a lot, my health just goes, like, even if I'm doing any kind of supplements or whatever protocols, they don't work anymore. Like, for my ecosystem, and probably for a lot of people's, like, it's important to have the movement. So I think people should consider something like 10,000 steps a day, you know, or work up to that gradually and slowly. And get sunlight, you know, while you're out there, and or breathing in some forests, like get into some good greenery too.
Yeah, especially
as well.
if we know that the trees are letting off antidepressant chemicals. That's such a cool
Yes.
fact. And I think
Yeah.
about, so we have on the last week of week 5, we're talking about stress management, and it's all for naught. All this, if you
Yeah.
can't remove yourself out of the fight or flight mode, remove
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
stress. We've all heard about cortisol. It's like toxic. It's just like glyphosate for the inside of your body. It
Yes.
just gets rid of everything. So it's so
Yeah.
important to remove stress, your attitude. I know for a long time I kind of laughed at that. I was like, I'm positive. And it really took, I now know when I get really stressed out, I'm really involved in things, how important it is for me to take a break and get that stuff moving out of my body, because you don't want that stuff like anxiety, all that. You have to switch out of that mode to get into, to receive the changes, because your body's just not ready for it if you're stressed out all the time and you're not
Oh
happy.
yeah. Oh yeah. And a lot of people put a lot of stress on themselves. You know, they're really judgmental toward themselves and usually the people around them. Like, why have that? Like, it's better to accept and embrace everyone's flaws, you know, every fiber of their being, even their imperfections, like, and shadows, like, those are who we are. And that's true for ourselves as well. Like, we have to embrace those shadow parts and just be easy on ourselves, you know. And that is really, I think, the depth of how our health is, how much we can love ourselves, even our poop and our smelly poop and bacteria, you know. That depth is really maybe the measurement of how far perhaps, you know, we will go doing our work.
I do. I think when you finally realize that it's important, I have had a mindset shift where I make myself, it's like a prescription to go on a walk or to be in some sunshine, because it's easy to get really involved and that be the last thing you do, but just the importance of changing the mindset, releasing it, you always feel better. And you're circulating chemicals out that you don't want to be there. Movement helps get things moving out and out, and that's what you really want. And so definitely be taking these walks during that time. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And guys, we have some time for some questions. I mean, if you want to
Yes.
ask about poop, if you want to talk, I will say that Dr. Grace is working on for us we'll be emailing out her recommendations for boosting your immune system just during this time. You know, what should you be taking? Like, what is it? And I will say her website, the Gut Institute, you go that, what I love is that you can buy your probiotics on there. You know, you read an article on Amazon how they sent out like
Oh yeah.
spoiled supplements or something. And
Mm.
yeah, you want to buy stuff where you know it's been stored properly. You want to, and that it's been handled well, and that it's been tested and it's got the good stuff in it. And that's what's nice about Dr. Grace's site, is that you're able to go and whatever you buy, you can trust there. None of her supplements are more expensive. She's got a whole line of it. So it's not just what she has created, but all the stuff she recommends. I recommend all the supplements on there, the different brands. There's a whole slew of brands, and you can assure when they come to you, they've been taken care of, and you're not getting something that you like a counterfeit or a spoiled or anything like that. It's really important where you get your supplements from. And that's why I like to have a trustworthy source. So I don't feel like, oh, I hope these aren't spoiled, because they can, because they're living things. So and she'll be coming up with a list of here's some immunity boosting things that you can be taking during this time. And I'm excited about that, because there's certain times in your life you got to supplement more than others, you know, and because there's more attacks coming on, there's more Sopranos, you need boosters. And so this is one of them for me, like vitamin C. But I want to open this up for questions. Do you have anything about poop, gut health, yeast infections? your microbiome, anything like that. I mean, it affects, you have a microbiome in your skin, you do have one in your vagina, you have one in your gut, you have one in your mouth. Everything can be out of whack. So feel free to ask away, anybody. You can type your message here and I can unmute you. You can ask it, or you can just type your question in. I'm happy to get that there. So does everybody see the chats? I'll give it just one more minute. Carla asked, what are your favorite go-to foods?
Foods? Yes. I love things with citrus zest in it, Carla. So like for my kids, I've been baking some fruit crumbles for them since they're home again from college, and they're kind of tired of it. But what I can sneak in there is lots of lemon juice, so natural vitamin C. And then the zest of citrus is just full of all kinds of nutrients, specifically even they're kind of superfoods for your good gut flora. And they naturally will knock out a lot of the, as you know, it's kind of, zest is kind of has that flavor, right? Well, studies also show like we convert that, it's called hesperidin, into something more active, and they're antiviral and particularly anti-coronavirus. They literally dock in the virus, these ACE2 receptor sites, so they can't take over your gut and stuff.
Oh, wow. That's a great tip. Tell us about your fruit crumble. So I know, guys, zest is the real outside, if you think about the orange, that really bright, beautiful, colorful thing, just basically you can use a little like cheese shredder and just shred off just like the outside.
The whole thing.
And what are the fruit crumbles?
Even though if you get a little of the white stuff, it's okay, because that's called pith. And it's a superfood, again, for your gut flora. It's even shown to be anti-cancer and, whatever, blah, 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 awesome stuff. We call it modified citrus pectin, but all of it's fantastic. So like I'll just take fruit, whether it's frozen or fresh, and then put like just 1 tablespoon of sugar, or you can use honey. Honey's even better. And then some thickener. So, whatever you have around, like a tablespoon or 2 of rice flour or tapioca flour. We do everything gluten-free. And then about a tablespoon or 2 of lemon juice or citrus juice. Like it could be lime or lemon or blood orange or orange. And then I make a crumble. So if you have like gluten-free oats, and then a little bit of gluten-free flour, and then about a stick of butter, and a little pinch of salt, and see what else. Oh, about a tablespoon of water, just enough water to kind of get a dough going, and then put it on top, bake it for an hour. Oh my God, like with some vanilla ice cream. So I just try to, get like good nutrients into my kiddos. And another really favorite food of mine is anything from the onion family. So these are known as inulin-based foods. So it's leeks or onions, garlic, scallions, and anything from the onion family. I chop them all up. I love root vegetables. So I make a lot of soups, with bone broth, and get those in there. When you kind of cook them down, they taste kind of sweet, but they're actually low calorie, right? But they're sweet because the inulin-like fiber has a sweetness to it, and your gut flora just love it, love it, love it. I've had people just lose weight, like 10 pounds a month, just eating a lot of leek-based or onion-based soups with really good protein in there, like grass-fed lamb or grass-fed beef or chicken. Super easy to make, and full of really good like fertilizer, as Cameron says, like because they're onion-based vegetables in there.
I love onions. And onions, what's nice about them is when you cook them, the onions don't lose their nutrients. Like a lot of food, if you overcook it, you've killed off the nutrients. But when you cook the onions, it maintains.
Yeah.
We actually last night just chopped up potatoes and onion, olive oil, salt.
Oh my God, yummy.
I just roasted them.
Yeah.
And it was so good. Just like simple stuff like that.
Yeah. Low maintenance.
Exactly. And we have a question from
from
Sarah, it looks like. By the way, I'm going to be asking you in detail about that crumble recipe, because I want I like that. I perfected it. Yeah. And I never thought, I do a lot of citrus, but I never thought to eat the zest. I like to have like lemon juice in my water and just putting the zest. You're wasting it if you don't.
Yeah. Try to get organic, because they do spray citrus, I guess, apparently. So if you slice it up, you can just gobble it all down. Like if I used to travel, a lot for speaking gigs or, keynote talks, and I'd start to get tired and sick because you're partying all night, you're eating crap food a lot, in the hotel. And I would just eat vodka Collins, but, with lime and then eat the whole lime, and I'd feel better the next day.
Citrus
Yeah.
is powerful. That's that vitamin C. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good
I like
studies
it.
behind it.
Did you see Sarah's question? She said that she doesn't
Oh,
eat much
yes.
bread, but I notice I crave it during premenstrual days. Is this an indicator of missing in my diet or?
Okay, so Sarah, I'll tell you a little bit about cravings. So stress, we like to test, not guess. We do a hormone test called the Dutch test. So at a certain time of your month, usually like around day 20 or 21 of your cycle, if it's like a 28-day cycle, we try to see, what are the hormones? That's the peak level of all your hormones. And that's also 7 days prior to your menstrual cycle, the mens. And what happens is, that's our high point, and there can be either really high stress cortisol or very low levels. Either one's not ideal, and that can cause cravings. If you have a craving for salt, it means there's something dysregulated about a hormone known as cortisol. If people crave sweets and sugar, we know that it could be cortisol based as well, but there's also like another factor, adrenaline. Sometimes it's usually both, right? But we know that there's a little bit of hormone imbalance. And so what some studies show for both men and women, their fertility hormones, when they're dysregulated, it has to do with the sopranos in the gut and the depletion. In other words, the bankruptcy of the good bacteria in the gut, our angels. And what studies show is when we are able to heal our GI tract lining with fiber and protocols and bacteria, good bacteria like probiotics, all those premenstrual signs and even like erectile dysfunction for men and low testosterone all go away. And then people's cravings also go away. We've even had people with addictions to sugar or porn or sex, all go away because they're working on their gut and they're no longer having these, different kind of cravings. It's kind of wild. Yeah. And we'll see these results even in a month or two. So we do offer a class, like if people are really interested in more of the advanced protocols, but we rely on a lot of botanicals because that's what our kind has, lived with for millennia. Different plants that are at low doses gently start to shift things out, bring in the good stuff, and then people feel great, combined with a lot of probiotics and a lot of at the right time. We sometimes don't do too much prebiotics or fiber in the beginning, just diet only, and then gradually introduce it in as their gut shifts and gets better and better. I hope that helps. Yeah, a lot of things can be explained. It's so funny because when we have, as Cameron was explaining, when we have these openings on your pile, your high, nice towels, and you have this high pile. When there's holes, though, your body can only give up so much, and to try to, seal it or prevent too many things entering into the circulation of your blood system. And then it gets tired and it's like, yeah.
And then, yeah, I found for me, during those times I used to crave sugar, and I got the hormone test and my doctor has me on, or I got prescribed progesterone, and that's really helped me a lot. I take all the other stuff just because sometimes when you're in perimenopause, early menopause, we'll be talking about hormones this next week with our hormone doctor, and just it's amazing not getting that out of whack and just getting gut tests. But you can get, I'll make sure and email out your website so people can read about tests, because I like that. What did you test, not guess? So we're not trying to guess what's going on in your gut. Let's look. And there's poop tests will reveal everything. So we have these last two questions, and then we'll let everybody get about their quarantined Monday. Oh, it might be that we have three.
Okay.
We have, did you see the one about the constipation?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So Adrienne had a question. I have a question with constipation. I take fiber. Also, my doctor says Miralax is okay to take every day. I don't think so. Your thoughts? I am gluten-free and eat pretty simple, and worse if I don't exercise. Yeah, we hear that a lot. I mean, drugs are great, to move things along. Often they'll have fillers and some problematic ingredients in there, like Miralax has several. But we can't resurrect what's not there, is what I tell a lot of people. So it's awesome to use fiber, but it's really difficult to resurrect something, right, that's not there. If you don't have the right species and population to feed with the fiber, you can take amazing fiber but not see good results. So I still believe in probiotics. And the reason why, what study shows, probiotics, they're like, they're alive, and they love to live on our own mucus that we produce, but they won't be able to latch on and anchor there when there's too many sopranos there. So we have to kind of get them out. So I love probiotics because probiotics they're like angels. They can pry off some of the bad guys. but it's sometimes not enough. You still want to consider a protocol. So like people who go through our class, they're easily able to knock all these guys out. It's what studies show is the deeper the unease, disease, and health, it takes 8 to 12, 18 months of protocols. Literally, I mean, it's not a small amount of time. A lot of health problems don't develop overnight, and it takes literally 18 to maybe the shortest is 8 months, to really rehab things. It's kind of like your house. If you're doing a remodel, I don't know how many of you done a remodel. How many of you ever do it in one day? Hardly ever, right? Maybe the TV shows might, but they do a pretty sad job, I think. When you're looking at the foundation and you got a gut stuff, and then you're looking at plumbing and electrical and everything, you don't want to fuck around, right? It's like a gut too. You can't just, there's no pill. There's no overnight success. And whatever you're doing, if you're not seeing full completion of health, it's not working. And you have to kind of sort of dig a bit deeper. So I do like plant botanicals. They help give us like this edge, and our kind through medicine men and women have been doing it for millennia, whether it's Native American or Russian medicine or, Asian or Korean medicine or Aboriginal, they've been using plants forever. And there's a reason, because plants have had to defend, they don't move around, and they've had to defend soprano like pathogens the whole inception, like since they've been around on Earth. So they can't move. So they make these like amazing compounds that we can start to utilize. Some are toxic, so you have to be, it's good to work with someone that has experience. Some aren't suited for some people. There's contraindications or allergies, so it's good to work with someone that knows that.
I want to add a little note to the Miralax, because that reminds me, my grandmother was like that every day, and she started taking, I got her on a probiotic and magnesium and L-glutamine protocol, and I had her order those, and she's like, will send me a message. Can I send you a picture of my poop? And I'm like, that's not going to happen.
That's awesome.
No, we're going to say no to that. So, but she's so excited because she would just buy it by the tub of it, the Miralax. I mean, it was a thing for every day, but being able to, those 3 things really helping you, those are awesome things. And I'm going to send your website out to everybody after, just so they could poke around. And it really, I like what you say. You can put all the fertilizer in the garden you want, but you have to put the seeds, and probiotics are the seeds. They're going to help build more angels. So that's a big missing, and getting the right ones. You can try all these other ones, but making sure you get, what I like about your site is you have lab-based ones that scientists are making them, gut health researchers, not, just like whatever brand at the grocery store. It's the people that are making them, and they're not really that much more expensive. I mean, probiotics are what, $30 to $50. They're not terrible.
Yeah.
They compare to like difference. Sprouts and natural grocers and things like that. Yes. So that's a misconception I found with probiotics, is that people think they need to spend $100, but you can get some really great probiotics out there.
Exactly. Totally. And then you can make your own too with sauerkraut and water kefir. Yeah. You can make all kinds of
That'll
sauerkraut.
Be week 4. We're going to have Jenny Pendle to talk about fermenting. So bringing this all together.
Right.
All right. 2 more questions.
Okay. I think Debbie's question is very similar to the first one about regularity. Whether it's diarrhea or constipation, we see that resolve in just 2 weeks or less permanently. And it has to do with the flora. A lot of pathogenic flora, the sopranos ones, they are secreting chemicals that are either blunting motility, so it's constipation, or it's making the motility go too fast. And we can shift all that. So Robin had a question. I have a problem with eczema. I take probiotics and other good supplements. Thoughts? So it's really interesting. Eczema, what studies show is there's a lot of fungal overgrowth, and then there's and staph and strep as well, both on the skin and in the gut and the ear and throat. And what happens with eczema and even psoriasis and other skin disorders, the body starts to make an immune reaction to that growth, and then it makes a skin plaque, like a scar. It just has this inflammation. And so that's why, anti-inflammatories and steroids often do help, because it's lowering your own immune response. But what we do is again, terrain medicine. We're changing the terrain, lowering staph and strep and fungal overgrowths, and getting in the good angels to control. And then your body, has to calm the immune system down. So there are little different hacks we do with that. But sometimes medicinal mushrooms are really helpful. We do certain anti-inflammatories. One is called SPM. I'll put a link later for you, Cameron, if you want.
Okay.
Super awesome. It's a natural anti-inflammatory, has almost no side effects. Really great tool that we have. It's not cheap, but hey, who wants to have eczema forever or have these overgrowths that can lead to cancer or chronic conditions later as well too. So we can really do a lot to help your body get back into that like alignment, and it just takes a little bit of hard work in the beginning, you know, finding the things that work out for you. And then that's when probiotics really help. Sometimes with eczema, when people pump up the dose of our probiotic Bifido Maximus, they'll see good resolution right there. But then they're not bulletproof. When they go back to taking, or they either, you know, lower the dose or they eat a bad diet or sugar, you know, it all just comes back again. Our key is like, we want you to be so healthy that despite, you know, holiday eating or despite stopping a probiotic or fiber, you know, you're fine. Your system should be resilient and fine. And we can rebuild that. We see it all the time. Just take some targeting. But with eczema, there is a pattern. You know, there's a signature that's fungal and strep and staph, and we can shift those out. It's not that hard at all. So Ariane had a question. What did you say you have to give? Oh, okay. So what Cameron said was magnesium, which helps constipation. There's a lot of different magnesium supplements out there. You also gave your grandma some probiotics, right? Is that what you said, Cameron?
Yes, probiotics, magnesium, and those. Can you
glutamine? Yeah.
You have can you give the link to your website?
Yes, I will. So it's thegutinstitute.com. We have some of those. Those are great.
Yeah, and you just click on shop. Magnesium
Yeah.
is you can buy that that's a pretty cheap fix, and that's not only does magnesium help with constipation, but just calming and relaxing and repair it. So I love magnesium. I take it because I kind of dealt with constipation issues too, and now I take it, and I now have a hallelujah poops again. So
we love hallelujah poops.
But yeah, I think it would be helpful. The big thing with gut health is to take away, guys, is we're like a garden down there, and you have to keep it in balance for the weeds and the happy things, but it's going to take everything, and not just, you can't just eat your way right. If you have gut damage, you have to repair it with supplements and things like that, because your body is damaged and it needs to be fixed. And that's what I love about having Dr. Grace on, is that you can look in and find and get back to take the supplements, get some probiotics, get some magnesium, things like that. Go under protocols to get your garden right again. And then you have to do your part by eating fiber and moving and exercising and shifting stress. But it is important in the matter of gut health to get it shifted back with different protocols. And Dr. Grace has got the best. They help so many people, the stories after stories, and they never get old. Just seeing people that have energy again, that can sit down and hang out with their kids. I mean, just when you hear people that, I'm pooping every day, that's everything to me. Like, poop is life. So, you know, if you're out of whack, you want to get with that. And so I'm hoping that we can talk after and work on that Miralax thing, because poop is life.
I love that. I love that. Happy
all right,
juices
guys, well,
for all.
I'm going to wrap up with this. Thank you all. These were all really great questions. We'll be sending out, I'm going to definitely get that recipe for the fruit crumble. I'll be sending out Dr. Grace's antiviral immune boosting recommendations, as well as her website, so you can take a look. And I'm not connected to it at all, guys. So I refer her because I truly believe in her. And she's somebody that you can trust. So just know that when you go there, there's no bias there. It's a true safe place to buy stuff for you and your family.
Thank you. Hope you guys have magnificent microbiomes.
Yay, poop health. I mean, gut health. Thanks for attending, guys. We really appreciate it.